Good morning. My name is John Benson. I'm an attorney at the law firm of Penglase and Benson in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, where we help people move forward to the next stage of their life so that they can find love and happiness again. I want to thank you for taking your time this afternoon or this morning for some of you to join us for this webinar for a topic that may be very difficult for some people to talk about. Divorce is something that we never want to have happen. We don't look forward to it. But some people look at it as the end when in reality, it's really just the beginning. It's a step that you need to get through. And once you get through that, then you are free to move on to the next stage of your life where hopefully you will be able to pursue love and happiness again. So while it is a very difficult topic, I do really appreciate you all taking the time today, even though we're only going to be together for a few minutes, to discuss some of the mistakes that we see people make in this area. Before we begin, we know technology is always very difficult and unpredictable. So I want to make sure that everyone can see me and can hear me okay. So if you can, just take a second to go to the chat box, which is you can find at the lower portion of your screen, and just enter something into the chat just so that we know that you can see us and you can hear us. Okay, thank you very much. Cecilia, I see you have logged in. Thank you very much. George, okay, hello. Abby, Erica, thank you very much. Okay. I see that, yes, we're getting several responses now, so that's good. Everyone can see us and hear us. So now that we know the technology is working, and I know that your time is usually very short, I want to move right on to the presentation that we have for you today. And at this time, what I want to do is go over the 10 critical mistakes to avoid before filing for divorce. In our 16 years of practice, we have seen many people commit many mistakes. And our goal here today is in just a few short minutes to go over the top 10 mistakes that we see people make that sometimes can make a huge difference in their divorce. We want to make sure that you don't make those same mistakes. Now, there are many reasons couples will decide to end a marriage. And for most, this is a time of very high emotion, and we're very cognizant of that. But it's crucial to try and maintain a clear head in order to avoid additional stress and turmoil. Now, one way to accomplish this is by learning from the mistakes of others. Yes, it is possible to learn from the mistakes of others. Don't go down the same road they did. We want to make sure that your path is free and clear. During our very short time together, we're going to go over the 10 most common mistakes that we see every day. Now, managing stress is a crucial aspect of keeping your cool. Even if you have an amicable divorce, hurt feelings can cause people to act out of character. So what I would like to do to start things off is I'd like to offer 6 tips for managing stress to help keep a clear head throughout the process. So these 6 tips are going to give significant value to you as you get ready to go through the divorce process. So make sure that you write these down. The first one, try and surround yourself with loving and supportive friends and family. This is very important. Having a support network that is going to be with you through the ups and downs of the coming months is going to be extremely important. Unfortunately, many people we find go through divorce in almost a self-isolation mode, but doing so can cause even more stress. You're going to need people to talk to, people that are going to tell you that it's going to be okay, people that are going to help you see the brighter side of things as you go through this. So make sure that you reach out to your loved ones and share what you're going through. Trust me, they won't judge you. They will be there to help you. The second tip I'd like to offer is declutter your environment. If you need to create a space that is just for you. Surround yourself with the things that you enjoy and that help make you feel happy. Attitude is going to be everything as you go through this. So if you can be surrounded by things that are going to help improve your attitude, things that keep you stable, keep you focused, keep you grounded, it is going to make a huge difference as you go through the process. Third, be active. Now that sounds counterintuitive or anything. I'm sure a lot of people, as they're not feeling happy or anything, are just going to want to go into self-isolation, but that will only make things worse. So you want to try and be active. Physical activity is one of the quickest ways to relieve build-up emotions and boost your mood. So if you can, join a gym, go for a walk. You don't have to do anything expensive. Go for a bike ride. Even if you just go for a car ride, do something that is going to keep you active and keep your mind busy. Divorce is one of the most painful events in life, as we've already mentioned, and it's one of the most painful things that any couple can experience. Ending a marriage can lead you to question everything in your life, including your identity, your ability to cope, and even to be yourself. For these reasons, it's crucial to practice self-care throughout the divorce process. So the fourth tip that I can offer you is to try not to give into negative self-talk and guilt. It's natural to blame ourselves when relationships don't work out. Instead, try accepting your faults and learn from them in the future. If you have a dose of self-compassion, it's going to go a long way to helping you through the divorce process. So please, try not to be down on yourself. Try not to blame yourself for things. They often say it takes two to tango. Recognize your role in this, but also recognize that you are able to move on. The fifth tip I can give you is to try to set aside some time for yourself. It's going to be important to learn how to be you as an individual again. You've spent so much time as a couple, you need to learn who you are again. So embrace this time on your own to grow. And find new things that you enjoy doing. Meditation is a great way. It's something that I practice myself. It's something that I highly recommend. So meditation is a great method for introspective reflection and a chance to reconnect with yourself and to kind of come to terms with who you are now, not who you were. Chances are you are not the same person, and you need to understand who you are now as you exit the relationship, because it's different than the person you were when you entered the relationship. And the sixth tip that I can give you is to work towards forgiveness and moving on. The only way to move forward and experience the joy that life has to offer is to come with it with an open heart. So whether you need to forgive yourself or forgive your significant other, forgiveness is a gift to give to yourself. So please give time to forgive yourself for anything that has happened here and to be able to move on. Remember, every divorce is different, just as every couple is different. Just because your best friend, your sister, your former boyfriend was given X amount of money in alimony doesn't mean you're going to receive the same. So don't listen to what other people did, what other people received as financial settlements in this. You have to understand your particular circumstances are unique to you. And therefore, what other people experienced may not be what you're going to experience. Just because your coworker went through a horrific battle over custody doesn't mean it's going to happen to you either. So again, try and quiet the noise that is around you. I know, while I can't relate to, on the divorce side, I can tell you when we take the bar exam, the big thing they tell people is as soon as you have a break, get away from everybody. Just go out to the parking lot, sit in your car, because you'd be out in the hallways and you would start hearing people talking about one of the questions, and then that would get your mind racing, and you'd suddenly be fearful because you didn't answer it that way, or you didn't see a particular topic that they were talking about, when in reality, they were the ones that were misguided. And just by sitting around and hearing them was just causing all sorts of turmoil in your mind. Divorce is the same way. Don't listen to what other people went through. It doesn't mean that's what you are going to experience. Your divorce is unique, and you need to approach it that way. At the same time, again, remember it is very important to talk to others, whether it's about their experience or about your experience. You want to have that support system. So try and quiet the noise about what other people went through, but at the same time, be willing to talk about what you are going through. Now, divorce involves many aspects, from dividing financial assets to determining custody. There is a whole lot to consider. So when it comes to divorce, knowledge is power. The more knowledgeable you are regarding the process that you're about to go through, the better equipped you are going to be to face what lies ahead. Thanks to those who have gone through this experience, you can learn from the mistakes of others. During marriage, finances often become entangled. Your financial situation can be viewed in 4 categories: assets, liabilities, income, and expenses. Financial assets, including cash, savings accounts, checking accounts, certificates of deposit, money market accounts, stocks, bonds, real estate, investments, investment trusts, mutual funds, and savings bonds are all things that will have to be considered. Additionally, debts are not erased with a divorce. Anything owed to lenders or creditors will remain a debt during and after your divorce. Who is responsible for each debt and who is awarded each asset will be determined during the divorce process. So, we are now about ready to reveal what the 10 biggest mistakes are in preparing for filing for divorce and how you can avoid those mistakes. So without further ado, let's get on to the meat of the presentation here. So mistake number 1, credit cards and joint bank accounts should be closed down. If you don't, your spouse could run up debt that you'd be responsible for. Unfortunately, there is a reason this is mistake number 1. It's because it's the biggest mistake people make. Time and time again, we will see clients come on in and they either decide for whatever reason, whether it's out of spite or they just need to do something to feel better about themselves, they go on a spending binge. And when they do that, that is going to be debt that we're going to have to deal with at some point, even if it's not going to be placed onto your spouse because maybe it's not considered marital debt. You don't want to go through the whole process and then suddenly realize, oh, I have a huge bill that I'm going to have to pay in addition to everything. So you don't want to be the person spending the money. At the same time, financial affairs are usually one of the biggest things couples argue about. And you may not be fully aware of what your spouse has been charging in the months leading up to. So you want to make sure that all the accounts are closed down and that you open up your own separate accounts as you start going through the process. That way, there's no surprises as we go through, and especially at the end of the process, you don't want to be hit with that whopping bill that you're now going to spend months fighting over who's responsible for it. Mistake number 2. Divorce is a massive change with significant financial implications that you need to consider. For example, it might not make sense to stay in your house. You might have to move out. So in some cases, it may make sense to consider bankruptcy rather than continuing to make debt payments. So you want to make a plan and speak with a financial planner as soon as possible. As you go through the process, you want to make sure that you're going to be on good financial ground when you get through. Up until now, you and your spouse have maybe worked with a financial planner, and that planner was there to help both of you get to that goal. Now you're going to have your own separate goals. Now the finances are going to be separated. Maybe you weren't the person who was responsible for doing all the investing and the savings. If so, you're a little bit behind the 8 ball, so you need to jump on that now. So the sooner you can meet with a financial planner and start creating your own plan that is going to chart you through the financial waters you're about ready to go through, the better you're going to be when the whole process is over. Because when this process is over, you're going to be on your own. You want to make sure that you can invest on your own, that you have a plan to get you where you need to go, and that you're going to have all the money that you need to pay the bills, to take care of the children as you go through life after the divorce. So the biggest mistake we see is people neglect their financial plan. So meet with a counselor as soon as possible so that you are ready for the next stage. Okay, mistake number 3, burying your head in the sand. Now, you may be shocked by what you discover when you're preparing for a divorce. Unfortunately, your spouse may not have been honest with you about the finances up until this time, as I've just mentioned. It's not unusual for one spouse to find out that they are behind on their taxes or debt payments as they start going through the divorce process. All of that is in the past now, though, and you can't change it. If there's been something that is hidden, it's there. You're going to have to deal with it. You can't change it. But it is crucial that you don't remain in the dark. Get the answers you need. Your lawyer and your financial advisor can help you. That's another reason why you want to get the financial advisor involved as soon as possible. Help figure out what you don't know. And then you can take action based on the information you uncover. Now, just as marriage is legally binding, so is divorce. The divorce process ends with a final judgment or order of dissolution. This document outlines the final arrangements about how the couple will allocate custodial responsibility and parenting time, child and spousal support, and how the couple will divide assets and debts. Next, we'll review the 4 common legal mistakes to avoid. Don't use a generic divorce template you found on the internet. This is a big one, folks. People love to save money and they figure this is where they're going to cut the cost. But unfortunately, going out and either buying a computer program or downloading it off the internet can end up being one of the more expensive mistakes you can make. You see, every situation is unique, and your divorce filing needs to be customized and created for you by an attorney who understands your situation. Trust me, it is 3 to 5 times more expensive to remedy a situation that was done wrong than it is to simply pay a lawyer to do it right the first time. So you want to make sure that you don't rely on these generic programs that may have been created in a different state where you're filing. It doesn't take into account the specific laws or the specific rules in your particular state. Then once you get halfway through the process, you have to pay someone to kind of fix the mistakes. It is going to cost twice as much to do that. So do it right the first time and get yourself an experienced attorney. If you separate from your spouse and then come up with your own custody arrangement for your kids, what you've essentially done is created a legal precedent. When you officially file for divorce, the judge may look at the informal arrangement you created and essentially decide that it is working for the kids and therefore won't be changed. This is why it's important to work with an experienced attorney in the field of divorce from the very beginning, so that you don't make it harder for yourself down the road. It's important that you work with an attorney that specializes in divorce and family law. There are many attorneys that function as what we call a jack of all trades, meaning they dabble in family law, criminal defense, DUI, estate planning, whatever else comes across their desk. The problem is that these attorneys aren't divorce experts, and they will often make mistakes and overlook important details. Hire an attorney that specializes in family law and divorce. For example, here at our firm, we have 2 attorneys, and that is all that they do. Well, one has spent the better part of 16 years doing nothing but divorce, child custody, child support. They know the ins and outs of the system. They know where the mistakes are. They know how to step over the landmines without making them go off, because that is all they do. That is what they're trained in. That's what they're experienced in. That's what they do day in and day out. Don't go with the person who is the cheapest or the jack of all trades. They are the cheapest for a reason. It is because they need the work, and you have to question yourself, why do they need the work? And if they are just a jack of all trades, they'll know a little bit about the stuff that you're going through, but they're not going to know everything. Isn't it important to have the best argument and the best prepared case on your side? Some couples decide that they want a divorce based on a single bad fight. You have one fight and that's it. And today it is so easy to get divorced. Many people unfortunately make this mistake. Divorce, but is a huge decision and not one you should make quickly. So give yourself time to think and to process before deciding to get divorced. Take the time to make sure this is what you really want. At the same time, once you've decided that you do want to get divorced, you want to be able to move forward quickly. So take the time to think it over, but once you've made your decision, act quickly. The sooner you resolve the situation and move on with your life, the happier and healthier everyone is going to be in the end. For many couples, one of the most difficult things to agree on during the divorce is child custody. For expert-backed guidelines on raising healthy children of divorce, check out an article that we have posted on our website. We have a number of different web articles that we have posted. You can check it out at penglaseandbenson.com, and these will give you some ideas of things that will help avoid fighting over the children as you go through that. Next, we want to review our final 3 mistakes to avoid. That being number 1, or shall we say number 8, dragging your kids into the conflict. Your kids need to feel loved, period. They need to feel cared for and respected by both parents, which is so difficult in the divorce. You get so focused on the divorce process and what you're fighting over and property and money that you forget about the kids, and the kids can't be pawns in this process. Dragging your kids into the conflict or using them as your confidant to complain about your spouse is damaging to their relationship with your spouse, and it's very damaging to the kids themselves. So please keep your kids out of the conflict. We see them used as pawns so many times, and they deserve so much better than that. Don't fight for your rights at the expense of your kid's best interest. Always put the child's interest first. For example, you may be entitled to equal time with your kids during the school year, but is it really in their best interest to make them switch houses every weeknight? So figure out what is really going to be the best for them, not what's the best for you. Trust me, if you have happy children through this process that feel cared for, that feel protected, and that understand that both of their parents still love them very dearly, it is going to make things so much easier for you in the end. So don't make them the pawns as you go through this. Think about your kids' interests first, and then think about your own rights. Now, your divorce doesn't have to be ugly. Often it only becomes ugly because you want it to become ugly. A nasty, contentious divorce is harmful to everyone: the kids, you, your spouse, your friends, and loved ones. Look for common ground and do your best to communicate positively. This is better for everyone, including yourself and for your kids. Find a way to communicate positively. Trust me, if you have children, you don't want to be battling over things for the next 15, 18 years until the point where they become emancipated. So try and look at everything in a positive manner. Try and not make it ugly. It will serve you much better in the end. And trust me, it is a lot cheaper when you approach the divorce in a positive mind as opposed to an ugly or a negative mind. Facing a partner who is uncooperative can be frustrating, yes. However, it is in you and your children's best interest to remain positive. Unresolved anger, grief, or sadness are often the cause of unwillingness to cooperate or negotiate. If you are dealing with a difficult partner, it is a good idea to keep records of all your interactions with them. That way you will have something to bring to court or to refer to later on. So make sure that you document everything as you go through this thing, but again, try and remain positive. Remember, how you feel about your ex is less important than how they act and how you act towards each other. So let's have a final recap of the 10 mistakes we just discussed. And if you haven't written them down, I encourage you to do that at this time. These are very, very important. You're going to want to remember these so that you don't make these mistakes. Mistake number 1, maintaining joint financial accounts. Make sure that you create your own financial account as you go through this so that you are not blindsided. Mistake number 2, not creating a financial plan for your divorce. Meet with a financial planner as soon as possible and chart your financial way through this. Mistake number 3, burying your head in the sand. It's not going to do you any good to not think about something or not go looking for things. Knowledge is power, so the more that you can find out, the better. Mistake number 4, attempting to file your divorce using a document that you found on the internet. They are generic forms. They are not state-specific forms, and the rules change from state to state. Make sure that you have met with an experienced attorney and you're not relying on these cheap programs which will end up costing you so much more in the end. Mistake number 5, separating from your spouse and creating your own custody arrangement with your spouse. Remember, you might come up with something now that makes sense now, but you're going to be bound to it much, much later. Once you come up with a plan that hasn't considered what your rights are, what you are entitled to, what you might have to give in on, you could be blindsided later on. And so definitely meet with an experienced attorney and find out what rights you have as to property, as to visitation, and things like that. Mistake number 6, hiring an attorney that doesn't specialize in divorce. Find one who you can work with and who specializes only in the field of divorce. Trust me, it will save you so much time and so much money to find someone who specializes in things, who can answer your questions right away, and isn't wasting all of your money doing research. So get someone who is experienced right away. Mistake number 7, don't make the decision to get divorced lightly, but once you've made the decision, move forward quickly. Mistake number 8, don't drag your kids into the conflict. Keep them separate and apart from this and make sure that they feel loved and supported the entire time. Mistake number 9, putting your interests ahead of your children's interests. They're going to have to come first here, so make sure that they do. Remember, just because you can have equal time doesn't mean that might not be the best for them. Maybe they have special projects or special programs after school that are very important to them and which could be in jeopardy by going back and forth from house to house. So certainly put their interests first before you come up with any type of plan as to who's going to have custody. And mistake number 10, approaching your divorce like it's a battle. It doesn't have to be. If you want to make it into a battle, it certainly will be a battle, but it doesn't have to be. So coming into it positively, working out arrangements in advance, being able to talk in a civil manner with your spouse is going to save you so much time, so much hassle, and so much expense down the road. Divorce doesn't have to be a nightmare. If you avoid these 10 common mistakes that we've just gone through, you'll be able to navigate divorce and get onto your new life with minimal pain and stress. And we can certainly help you with that because we are here to help you move on to the next chapter in your life. I certainly want to thank you all for participating in the discussion today. We understand how challenging this time can be, which is why we want to help you navigate the complexities of divorce. If you have any questions, you can certainly post them in the chat box, which you'll find at the bottom of your screen. You can also contact our office should you ever have any questions, and there are a number of ways that you can reach us if you ever have questions about this presentation or other questions regarding the divorce process. On the screen you'll see right now is our contact information. You can certainly call us anytime at 215-348-4416. You can find us on the web and download any of the resources we have on our website regarding divorce at penglaseandbenson.com. You can email me at jbenson@penglaseandbenson.com. I am always happy to receive your email and answer questions that you have via email. I monitor my email 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so I will certainly get back to you right away. And you can find additional resources and always follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. So that is our presentation today. I certainly want to thank everyone who has participated in it. I hope it's been as informative for you. If you have any questions while we're here for the last few minutes, certainly, again, please chat. I see that there are a number of questions here, and I'll try and answer at least one or two of them before we go, before time is up. But if you have any questions at any time, certainly, again, use our contact information that we provided, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. One of the questions that did come in as we were going through read, does it matter whether I move out before filing for divorce? Well, the answer is it may. As far as divorce goes, it may not matter if you move out before or after. Certainly, if you move out before and you leave some of your possessions behind, it may be a little difficult to get some of those possessions. But what your rights are going to be are certainly not going to be influenced by whether or not you move out in advance. As far as child custody, though, that could be something that is going to play into this. So you want to speak to your family law attorney about that. The court, especially in Pennsylvania, is going to act in the child's best interest. And one thing that they're going to be looking at is where is the child residing when you file for child custody. And they could give some deference to whether or not the child is with you or not. The court is not going to want to disrupt where the child is, where the child's going to school. That is going to be a safe environment, a sound, stable environment for them. And certainly whoever has the child with them at the time that they file for child support, child custody, is certainly going to have an advantage over the other spouse. So before you make any decisions, certainly meet with an experienced family law attorney and discuss what you need to do before making a decision on whether or not you or your spouse are going to move out. So that's a very important question, and thank you, Eric, for asking that question. Second question that came in, how fast is the process? Okay, that's an excellent question. It depends again. Whether the process is going to be contested or uncontested. If it is uncontested, you both agree basically on the fact that you want to get divorced. You can pretty much agree on who's going to be getting various things. It doesn't take long to get divorced. There is time to meet with the attorney, to make your plans with your financial planner and with your attorney, to file the paperwork. After that in Pennsylvania, there is usually about a 90-day cooling off period. The court basically is going to give you those 90 days for things to kind of smooth out, cool off, so you can really make sure that this is what you want to do. And then once those 90 days have gone by, if you're both still in agreement, then you can file the necessary paperwork and receive your separation agreement. At that point, the only thing that you really need to do is come up with a property settlement agreement to deal with the property. So sometimes the process can be very fast. Again, you want to have that time for reflection, but when it's time to move forward, you want to do so quickly. So an outstanding question. Thanks. Thank you very much for sharing that question so that we could address that. So again, that comes to the end of our presentation. I see there's a number of questions that are coming through the chat. I will stay around to answer those questions. And again, if you have any questions, you can either call us at 215-348-4416. You can visit the web at penglaseandbenson.com, or you can email me at any time at the letter J, Benson, at penglaseandbenson.com. Thank you very much for attending our presentation on the 10 most common mistakes made prior to filing for divorce. We wish you well in your journey, and if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Have a good day, everyone.